Good morning. It's good to see those of you who are on here already. And I want to welcome you today. Today is Sunday. It's April 11th, 2021. And you're listening to Unity of Springfield in Springfield, Missouri. This is our World Religions New Thought class. And I'm Paul Day, and I'm here just to kind of facilitate things. Today we're going to have John Braucher again giving part 2 of the lecture he gave last week on it was on meditation and self-compassion. Well, this is on meditation and self-compassion. And I just love John's work. He's such a loving spirit, and we're so fortunate to have him as a speaker and as a board member and member of our congregation. So I'm going to get started this morning by reading the daily word. And today's word is imagination. I imagine limitless possibilities. In childhood, my imagination helped me see fascinating shapes and wondrous creatures in cloud formations. Do you remember doing that? I still do it. Picking up a twig, I might have pretended I held a wand that could give me magical powers. An ordinary packing box could become a vessel to sail on or under the seas, an aircraft to fly higher than mountains, or even a spaceship I could fly to explore the stars. Much more than whimsy, imagination is a potential spiritual tool. I use my imagination with intention to give shape to my dreams and goals. Although my childhood may be a memory, I am grateful that I can still use my imagination to create the life of my dreams as I envision possibilities beyond the reality I know and the world I see. And from Luke, for I tell you that many prophets and kings desired to see what you see, but did not see it, and to hear what you hear, but did not hear it. I hope you have a really wonderful and blessed day today, and I hope you enjoy this talk by John Braucher, and let's get started.
Welcome to Unity of Springfield, Adult Education, World Religions, and New Thought. I'm very glad to be with you today as we go through the second part of the self-compassion and mindfulness program that I've been presenting. Again, kind of to recap, we've been talking about some of the basics of self-compassion, mindfulness, and some everyday kind of practices we can do to sensitize ourselves. Practicing loving kindness meditation, and also working on freedom from blame and some of those other things. Again, as I had talked before, these Tara Brach, Sharon Salzberg, Kristen Neff, Jack Kornfield are psychologists who really did a lot of work in both creating some techniques, but also measuring and trying to determine what seems to be effective in helping folks to become able to become more self-caring and self-compassionate. I was also struck when I started to research this talk. I watched James Master give his presentation for the adult education, and his presentation was about some writings from Louise Hay, and she had the 10 rules that he presented, which included stop all criticism, don't scare yourself, be gentle, kind, and patient with yourself, be kind to your mind, praise yourself, support yourself, be loving towards yourself, take care of your body, doing the mirror work and self-affirmations and being willing. Those were just briefly paraphrasing some of the 10 rules that he presented from Ms. A. And there's a lot of connection, there's a lot of overlap. There's some different nuances in the self-compassion work and some specifics to some relationships and things like that we'll get into. I also have, and this really came from a presentation by the Center for Mindfulness Studies in Toronto, Ontario, by Dr. Patricia Rockman, MD, and Amy Hurley, PsyD, that presented the basic outline that I'm presenting. Some additional resources that might be helpful. There's a, of course it's backwards here, but Self-Compassion by Kristen Neff, and the subtitle is The Proven Power of Being Kind to Yourself. Okay. Good book. She talks about personal examples in her life and also help provide some additional things. Another book by Kristen Neff is the Mindful Self-Compassion Workbook. And it's by herself and another psychologist, Christopher Germer. And again, it has a lot of the information that I'll be sharing with you, and specific exercises and things that you can do, and in a little more depth. But also, it's difficult to pick up everything that I'm talking about. So those are a couple of resources. Neff, N-E-F-F, Kristen, is the psychologist that has wrote both of these books. Excuse me. Okay, to start, we get a little bit centered. What is this self inside us? This silent observer, severe and speechless critic who can terrorize us and urge us on to futile activity, and in the end, judge us still more severely for the errors into which his own reproaches drove us. T.S. Eliot, The Elder Statesman. So the next 4 areas that we're going to address is going to be living deeply, which is just getting a little more centered onto why is it important, and what is important to us, and so that our life becomes more centered around what we care about, what we value. The next section is managing difficult emotions. The section after that is transforming relationships. And the final section that we're going to be covering is embracing your life. So in terms of living deeply, when you begin to touch your heart, or let your heart be touched, you begin to discover that it's bottomless, that it doesn't have any resolution, that this heart is huge, vast, limitless. You begin to discover how much warmth and gentleness is there, as well as how much space. By Pema Chodron. So the practices in the living deeply is to begin by really practicing centering meditation and the daily meditation practice of loving kindness towards both our benefactor, as we know them to be, and ourself, towards ourself. So, and in each day, engage in one activity or behavior which engages our vow, and we'll get to that. So it's really about being centered and focused on what it is that's important to you. So again, to review, the loving kindness and self-compassion meditation includes paying attention to how your body feels about our emotions and really getting centered on the pulsation and vibrations of our body. Then locate the breathing where you can feel that most easily. And after a few moments, once you notice those physical sensations of stress that you're holding in from whatever that situation might be, and also notice if you're holding difficult emotions. And then when you do, offer softly and gently, may I be safe, may I be peaceful, may I be kind to myself, may I accept myself as I am. And when you notice your mind has wandered, return to those words. And again, this is an ongoing practice to bring yourself back to that gentleness. Now, I think a lot of us really struggle with this whole idea of self-compassion and how does this fit with me? And it seems like a very passive kind of a thing. So one of the things that I was looking at was called the yin and yang of self-compassion. So there's the yin, or the softer female side of us, parts of self-compassion, and that includes like taking the self-compassion break, which we talked about last week. Self-compassion in daily life, cutting ourselves some slack, giving ourselves a break. Loving kindness meditation, which we just touched on just now. Soothing touch. Affectionate breathing meditation, which we reviewed last week. And the soften, soothe, and allow technique, which we will get to later today. So those are the comforting and soothing. And then there's the validating, which is sitting quietly with what it is that we're dealing with, as opposed to avoiding, just being with ourselves as if we're a friend who is quiet and with us when we're in a time of need. So that includes being a compassionate mess, or being aware of our messiness and sitting with us. It also includes starting to get into the cognitive labeling our emotions which again is another way of not avoiding them. And then self-appreciation. On the other hand, the yang self-compassions are a little more active, and the roles that they serve are a bit different. So to recap, the yin is comforting, soothing, and validating. The yang attributes for self-compassion is protecting, which is both protecting ourselves, noticing the equanimity, that we're all in this together, and that we're all and also fierce compassion. Providing, discovering what our core values are, fulfilling our emotional needs, and meeting unmet needs. So those are the providing roles and practices in self-compassion. And then motivating. So these are more action roles of self-compassion. And that's finding your compassionate voice, doing the compassionate letter to ourselves, which we reviewed last week, and then living with a vow, which we're going to address today. So the yang is more protecting, providing, and motivating, more of the action part of self-compassion. Again, it's important the reason why mindfulness meditation is so crucial is so we're where we are, so we're centered, so we're actually dealing with what's going on now. And so we're not getting lost in issues which aren't really relevant. And speaking of relevance, this next exercise that we're going to talk about is discovering our core values, which we may already have a pretty good sense of what that is, but it's not a bad idea to kind of revisit this. So one technique or one practice you can do is to imagine that you're at your own funeral and somebody else is delivering the eulogy. And they capture what your life has stood for and the person you were. So what would you want that person to say? What would you want them to say at your eulogy? And some additional questions. Is there some way in which you aren't living in accord to your core values? Are there external circumstances that prevent you from living according to your core values? So are there things in our environment that keep us from doing that? Are there internal circumstances which prevent us from living according to our core values? Do we create blind spots so we just are not really aware? And is there any way that giving ourselves more compassion and support could help us live more according to our values? This is an exercise adapted from Dr. Stephen Hayes, who was one of the co-creators of acceptance and commitment therapy and developer of relational frame theory. So after kind of getting together, kind of focusing on what our core values are, then in our own words, write out a vow or a promise to ourselves that describes how we're going to live according to our core values. For example, may I be patient with myself when I make mistakes? So this vow, we want it to be simple. So that we'll recall it when in need. Another practice or exercise is finding the silver lining. So describe a past incident that seemed impossible at the time when it occurred. And then now, what is it that you learned? What was the important lesson that you learned from that very difficult time? And then describe, if there is one, a current situation that's maybe practical or emotional that also seems impossible. Or you can't really see your way through it, at least not right now. And then, assuming that you're going to get through this situation, what deeper understanding do you think you will have gotten by having survived this difficult or painful situation? And is there a way that you can give greater self-compassion to the situation in order to help you gain more from it? And get that insight that's just waiting for us. You know quite well, deep within you, there is only a single magic, a single power, a single salvation. And that is called loving. Well then, love your suffering. Do not resist it. Do not flee from it. It is your aversion that hurts, nothing else. Herman Hesse. So that leads us to this section on managing difficult emotions. And truly what Herman Hesse wrote has been borne out that, in fact, what it is that we try to avoid becomes more powerful, that painful emotions that we try to avoid become more intense. And so the loving kindness practice of being able to lean into and be close with our own emotions does in fact soften and lessen the discomfort, even though it seems like a very frightening thing to take part in. So the practice here that we're starting with is called the soften, soothe, and allow. So please find a comfortable position. Take some relaxing breaths. Close your eyes if that's comfortable for you, or just lower them. Place your hand on your heart for a few moments to remind yourself that you are in the room and to bring kindness to yourself. The first step is labeling. So let yourself recall a mildly moderate, difficult situation that you're in right now, or that's going on currently in your life. Might be financial, health, stress in a relationship, having a loved one that's in pain or has struggles. Do not choose a super difficult problem, but don't choose a trivial problem either, because you want to be able to sense the feeling to practice this. And you want to choose a problem that'll generate enough stress that you'll be able to find it in your body when you think of it. So the next step is to clearly visualize that situation. Who is there? What was said? What happened? Now see if you can name the strongest emotion, a difficult emotion associated with the situation. Anger, sadness, grief, confusion, fear, longing, despair. And repeat the name of the emotion to yourself in a gentle, understanding voice, as if you were validating for a friend what he or she is feeling. That's longing. That's longing. That's grief. That's sadness. Now expand your awareness to your body as a whole. Recall the difficult situation again and again. And scan your body for where you feel it the most. In your mind's eye, sweep your body from head to toe, stopping where you sense a little tension or discomfort. Now choose a single location near your body where the feeling expresses itself most strongly. Perhaps at a point of muscle tension or achy feeling or heartache. In your mind, incline gently towards that spot. Soften into that location of your body. And this is the soften, soothe, and allow section. Let the muscles be soft without requirement that they become soft, like simply applying heat to sore muscles. You can say soft, soft, soft quietly to yourself to enhance the process. Remember that you are not trying to make the sensation go away. You are just being with them in loving awareness. Because in compassion, it's about being with, when we're being compassionate with another person, it's about being with the suffering of that other person and being there with them. It's not about making their suffering disappear. It's about being with them. It's the same thing with self-compassion, where we're going to be with ourself with this uncomfortable emotion. If you wish, let yourself just soften around the edges, like around the edges of a pancake. No need to go all the way in. Soothe yourself for struggling in this way. You can put your hand over your heart and feel your body breathe. Perhaps kind words arise in our minds, such as, "Oh, my dear, this is kind of a painful experience. May I grow in ease and well-being." If you wish, you can also direct kindness to the part of your body that is under stress by placing your hand in that place. It may help to think of your body as if it were the body of a beloved child. You can say kind words to yourself or just repeat, soothe, soothe, soothe. Allow the discomfort to be there. Abandon the wish for feeling it to disappear. Let the discomfort come and go as it pleases, like a guest in your own home. You can repeat, allow, allow, allow. Soften, soothe, allow. Soften, soothe, allow. You can use these 3 words like a mantra, reminding yourself to incline with tenderness towards your suffering. If you experience too much discomfort with an emotion, stay with your breath until you feel better. Slowly you open your eyes when you're ready. Specific emotion that is often difficult is shame. So there's a little exercise here on shame. Think of a behavior that we feel badly about, or very badly about, something we'd like to change, or that we've been beating up ourselves about, even if we're not doing it anymore. We just have this repeating negative self stuff going on. And then reflect on your mental chatter about this behavior and note the feelings that arise. Explore why you might criticize yourself. What is the critic trying to accomplish? What might it be trying to do for you? And if that critic has a function, what is it? Write down the role of the self-critic has been. Let the critic know it has served you well and had good intentions and was trying to be the best to help you. But you might just want to fire it. Okay? You might just want to let it go. It's okay. Now close your eyes and imagine the behavior and notice what's happening with your body. Soften your body and offer yourself words of reassurance. Transforming relationships. A human being is part of the whole, called by us universe. A part limited in time and space. He experiences himself, his thoughts and feelings as something separate from the rest, a kind of optical delusion of consciousness. This delusion is a kind of prison for us, restricting us to our own personal desires and to affection for a few persons nearest to us. Our task must be to free ourselves from this prison by widening our circle of compassion to embrace all living creatures and the whole of nature in its beauty. Albert Einstein. Again, the concept of equanimity comes up when we're talking about relationships. Because what we know is that we're more alike than we are different. And whatever it is that the other person's experiencing, we've probably experienced something similar to it. It doesn't mean that we want to continue to experience over and over these situations that might be painful and there may be no good reason for that. It may not be working for us. So one of the most powerful actions is forgiveness, both self and other. So we all make mistakes. This is because every thought and action is the product of a universe of invisible causes stretching back through time and outward across the planet. For example, I have inherited my temperament from my parents and grandparents, and my actions are shaped by untold interacting elements of my environment: climate, people, diet, culture, current events. Health. Therefore, I have a limited knowledge and control over precisely what I say and do from one moment to the next. When we make a mistake, it's natural to feel remorse. Remorse is a useful emotion that alerts us to a mistake. However, when we resist the experience of remorse, perhaps because we're embarrassed, then remorse may turn into guilt, rumination, which is repeating thoughts, defensiveness, and reprisal. A healthy response to our own mistakes is self-forgiveness. And these are the 4 steps. Open to the natural pain of remorse. 2, recognize that it's only human to make mistakes and to try to understand some factors leading to our mistake. 3, offer forgiveness to yourself, perhaps by saying, "May I forgive myself for what I have done, wittingly or unwittingly, to have caused this other person harm." And then resolve not to make the same mistake again. So then, what's the motivation to forgive others? Because it's often the best thing to do for ourselves. Forgiveness is a way of letting go of pain, the pain of anger and bitterness. But we can only forgive others after we have validated our own pain and learned to comfort ourselves. So again, you can see how this self-compassion can be really important in this forgiveness process for other people. Because it's so hard, maybe impossible, to let go of the anger and resentment if we're not experiencing the comfort that we need and the validation that it actually did happen and it actually did hurt. So number 1 is we have to be open to the pain that the other person caused us. We have to sit with it. Offer ourselves compassion for how you have suffered, perhaps by saying, "May I be safe. May I be peaceful. May I be healthy. May I be free from suffering." Try to understand the forces that make this person act badly. Financial stress, difficult childhood, low self-esteem. It's not that you're making an excuse, but you're showing some understanding about how behavior manifests itself among human beings. Always. Because remember, we all do make mistakes. And we all have a unique set of these multitude of factors that we're presented with. Then offer the forgiveness to the other person, which may be actually in person or it may be totally within our own mind. And may I forgive you for what you have done, wittingly or unwittingly, to have caused me harm. And then resolve not to be harmed again. So that's that part, that protect part of the yang self-compassion that we talked about earlier. That's right there. Compassionate friend. And I always get tickled when psychologists that wrote these get so spiritual. So here's one where, okay, it's You start with, it's called compassionate friend exercise. Sit in a comfortable position, reasonably upright and relaxed. Gently close your eyes if that's comfortable. Take a few deep breaths to center your body and put one or two hands over our heart. To remind ourselves and to give ourselves loving attention. Now, imagine yourself in that room, that it's safe, cozy, and comfortable, a perfect room, just the way that you'd like it. The lighting is perfect, furniture is just right. Make yourself comfortable in this room. And then you'll soon receive a visitor in your room, a light being who embodies the quality of wisdom, strength, warmth, and unconditional acceptance. This person may be a known figure like the Christ or Buddha, or it can be a compassionate person from your past, like a grandparent who has passed away, or it can just be a warm, loving presence without any particular form. This being of light would like to visit you for a little while. Your room has a door that you can open. Please go to that door and open it for your compassionate friend who is coming to visit. Invite them in. Place yourself at just the right distance from your compassionate friend, not too close, not too far. Just enjoy the company of the loving being. See your compassionate friend in your mind's eye and enjoy his or her company. There's nothing special you need to do except savor the moment. Your compassionate friend would like to tell you something now, something that is just what you need to hear right now in your life. Listen carefully to what your compassionate friend has come to say. If no words come, that's okay. Just share their good company. That's a blessing in itself, just being with your friend. And listening if there is anything you should hear. Soon your friend will be leaving again. But before that happens, your friend would like to give you something, a material object. As you place your hands together, your friend reaches out and puts the object in your hands, or an object simply appears in your hands, something that has special meaning for you. What is it? What did you receive from your compassionate friend? Look it over carefully. Soon it's time for your friend to leave, but he or she can return at any time. Open the door, enjoy his or her company for the last moment, and then bid them farewell. Now you are alone in the room again. Let yourself savor what has just happened, enjoying the words and the object that was given to you. Know that you can invite your friend anytime you wish. When you're ready, open your eyes. Letting go of resentment. Just sit comfortable and quietly. Bring awareness of the story, the situation, the feelings, the reactions. Name gently the anger and grief and hold them compassionate while you continue to breathe. Gently ask yourself, do I have to continue to replay the story? Do I have to hold on to these feelings? Is it time to let go? If not, give yourself compassion for not being ready to let go. If you would like to say to yourself, letting go, softly repeat the phrase. Soften the body and feel any space that arises as you let go. Sitting quietly, notice if any feelings, thoughts return. Simply return to softening in the phrase, letting go. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond all measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small doesn't serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. We are liberated from our own fear. Our presence automatically liberates others. Marianne Williamson from Return to Love. So the last section we're going to do here pretty quickly is about embracing our life. One practice can be savoring food, looking at it, having gratitude for it, enjoying the smell of it. If it's a handheld, notice the feel of it in our fingers. And slowly chew, really enjoy and savor. And what does that bring to us when we savor? Stay in our body. How does it feel in our mouth? Chew consciously. Be 100% in the experience of the chewing and tasting. Meditation, loving kindness for all beings. So once you have found a comfortable sitting position, spend a few moments offering loving kindness towards a benefactor, yourself, a neutral person, and a difficult person. Now, as best you can, expand your awareness to include individuals and groups who are in many ways unknown to you. It sometimes helps to categorize people as beings or into opposites. For example, may all children be happy, and may all adults be happy. Alternately, you may simply wish for all beings to be happy. And as you extend your loving kindness towards all beings, notice the spaciousness in the body as if you can notice your breath extending out past you. Appreciating yourself, and this is adapted from an exercise by Dr. Kristen. List 10 things about yourself that you really like or appreciate. And the qualities you list don't have to be ones that are just on display all the time. As you write down each quality, see if you can notice any uncomfortable feelings like embarrassment, fear of vanity, unfamiliarity. If discomfort comes up, remind yourself that you're not claiming you're better than anybody else, nor that you're perfect. You're simply noting the good qualities that you sometimes display. See if you can acknowledge and enjoy the powerful qualities you have, lingering over them and really taking them in. And then finally, the last exercise is list 5 culturally valued traits for which you are above average. List 5 culturally valued traits for which you are average. And list 5 culturally valued traits for which you are below average. And consider the full range of traits listed above. Can you accept that all these facets are yourself? Being humans does not mean being better than others. It means you encompass the full range of the human experience. Being human means you are, in some ways, average. And can you celebrate the experience of being human? Thank you for bearing through with me on this, and namaste.
Thanks so much, John. It's always wonderful. I love your presence and your energy, and that was a really well-needed subject today. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. If you'd like to make a donation towards our ministry, you can go to our website at unityofspringfield.org. You can give through our Tithely app, which you can download. You can go to PayPal to ccunity@sbcglobal.net. You can mail a check to 2214 East Seminole Street in Springfield, Missouri 65804. And again, that's Unity of Springfield in Springfield, Missouri. And with that, I wish you an absolutely wonderful Sunday and a wonderful week. Enjoy this absolutely beautiful spring weather. I love you and God loves you. Give yourselves a big hug and we'll see you next Sunday. Namaste.